Welcome to The Better Life with Dr. Marianne Pinkston. Join Dr. Pinkston today as she teaches you how an integrative approach to health, combining holistic and contemporary medical information, can lead you to the better life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Marianne Pinkston.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Marianne Pinkston, and this is The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston. I am, as usual, going to bring you a wonderful, wonderful guest. This lady has so much inspiring story behind her and has accomplished so many wonderful things. And we have so much in common. I think this is a great guest. Dr. Shivani Gupta, welcome in. And let me introduce you just a bit, and then I'll let you tell your story. Your studies are Ayurvedic medicine, holistic medicine, and you have I think that was your master's, but you have your PhD in turmeric. And I know everybody's excited about turmeric. I mean, this is a wonderful, we'll talk about that. You have a book now out, which is a wonderful book. Yes, thank you. I should be doing that. The Inflammation Code. And I know too, you are the creator and host of an Emmy nominated series, Vibrant Health. And so accomplished, beautiful, wonderful, done a lot of great things. Welcome in. I'm happy to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, this is a great opportunity to tell us a little bit about you and how you found your path and where you're going from here.
For sure. So I'm from Houston, Texas, and I'm a proud Texan. And I grew up in a family that had just moved here from India. My parents had just moved here. They had me. And every year or every other year, I would get to go home to India to see my grandparents. And so I lived in two worlds. When I was in Houston, Texas, if I'd get sick, I'd go to the pediatrician. They'd write you a script for antibiotics. You'd get better and you'd move on. And when I was in India, it was completely different. You'd get sick. Your grandma would open up the spice cabinet. She would mix some spices together. You'd say, "What is that stinky thing?" You would drink it and you'd get all better. And so I just grew up with these two worlds. And I always wondered who's right. Like, how can these two approaches both be there when I get sick? And fast forward, by the time I got to high school, I was chronically sick. Every month we were running to the doctor. They were increasing the strength of my antibiotics by then. So it was Augmentin every month. Back then, nobody thought really hard about what that means to give a child antibiotics back to back to back. Unfortunately, we just didn't know what that meant. And so by the time I got to college, I was in India one time, disastrously sick. They thought they had to hospitalize me. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. And a Dr. Gupta actually sits me down and he goes, "I'm going to give you these 13 medications." And I was like, a voice inside of me screamed and said, "You know what? I need you to explain to me what you are about to give me." And he said, "Well, the first one's an antibiotic and the rest is for your symptoms." And I said, "Hold up. I don't want anything for symptoms. Everything for symptoms gives side effects. You didn't recommend a probiotic. And I don't need you to explode my gut. Like, I need you to dumb that antibiotic down a couple notches."
Absolutely.
And my family looked at me and said, "You are not allowed to talk to a doctor like that." And I said, "Well, some voice inside of me is really mad today. And I got to say it the truthful, honest way." And secondly, I think we're in this land called India. And I think we have something here called yoga and Ayurveda. And I need a new approach to my health because this approach is not working. And so that's when I went on a quest through India. And thankfully, by then, my parents were kind of burnt out entrepreneurs and they had some time. And so we went north, south, east, west, did all the Ayurvedic detoxes. I sat at the feet of all the gurus. The universe conspired to let me just sit in India and study it at the feet of all these people. And when I did, I realized this is a profound system of health, medicine, and healing. It's vast and it's robust. And I just want to take the best pieces of it and take it back home to Texas, to the West, and show us how to use it in a way that we can really apply and win at. Nice. And I've been doing that since college. So that's my 25-year journey, is to keep iterating on how to bring that wisdom here for us to use.
Beautiful. And you have a very similar story of bringing, contemporary and integrative medicine together, got sick. And, we make great patients to, feed the world full of information. While we suffer, now we can help someone else. And that's beautiful. I'm so glad that you've had that. I guess I'm not so glad you were sick, but I'm so glad you had that opportunity to they learn. Well, great. So tell us a little bit then about how you developed your book and what's the basis behind it? Because so many people are looking for a better way. We just, or better life, right? So we are really, soul searching, and people now are depending so much on, Chat GPT and so many, certified specialists. And I say that with quotes, people that we, aren't sure are giving correct information. So tell us about that journey.
For sure. So for the last 20 years, I studied Ayurveda on my own. I studied it in India. I did my master's in it, did my PhD in it, started seeing clients, started teaching Ayurveda online in a group program setting. And as I worked with people, sorry, hold on.
It's winter time, isn't it? You are fine. Do not worry.
Start that over.
It's fine. We'll take care of that.
What was the question again?
How did you come to, write the book and come to, want to develop this information for people? Because so many people are looking for, information. And there's too many people who are self-proclaimed certified, specialists out there, Chat GPT. I mean, we're losing ground now as providers and intellectuals, I think, on trying to help people heal themselves, because I think they're lost. I just don't think they don't know who to go to. So how did your book come to you to want to treat that?
True. So over the last 20 years, I was teaching Ayurveda. I was writing books. I wrote a book on Ayurvedic pregnancy. I was speaking on stages. I was trying to teach it in any place I could find. If any group wanted me, I was like, I'm there, 5, 10, 50, 400. It doesn't matter. Right. I just want to share this wisdom. And then over the last decade, and especially since pandemic, I started working with women more one-on-one and in group settings. Yeah. And so I realized I'm teaching the same 6 pillars of Ayurveda as the foundation again and again and again. These are like my core pillars of Ayurvedic wisdom. And so after working with so many clients and seeing how those help them, I decided to put it all into the book. And so this book is a guidebook. It's a plan. You can read it and use it as the foundation stack that you build for vibrant health. Wow. And then as I wrote the book, I'm very passionate about turmeric. So I put a whole chapter in about turmeric and super spices. Good. And so the book teaches one big concept called elemental design. And that's a concept from Ayurveda that shows that we are all made up of the 5 elements: air, ether, fire, water, and earth. And so those 5 elements dictate if we are a more air person, a more fire person, or a more earth person. And so the book illuminates, when you take the quiz, you can understand which one you are and then build your lifestyle around that. Then I talk about the circadian clock, gut health as a gut digestive fire, mindful eating from the Ayurveda perspective. And then finally, I wrote a chapter on something called mental inflammation. And I was working so hard on this book, and I thought, gosh, how do I explain to people that if we are chronically stressed, we will still cause inflammation, and mental inflammation causes physical inflammation.
Absolutely.
So that was that final chapter of the book. When that term came to me, I was like, I am sharing that term with the world, that if we need to understand what mental inflammation is doing to us. Correct. And so the book is a guidebook. It's basically a book that says, look, adopt this lifestyle. Try it for yourself. Build this circadian rhythm for yourself. Build this lifestyle in, and then you tell me when you win at inflammation and feel amazing. Do you want to maintain this lifestyle, or when you fall off, how do you get back on this horse? And so that's what I taught in the book.
Oh, that's wonderful. And so, too, I always want to drive home, and you can explain the fact that when you incorporate something, new ideals, and maybe it's not a new ideal, maybe it's something you've been thinking about for a long time or have agreed with for a long time, and you're just putting the exclamation point on it. But, that it's when people are getting started, though, it's much of a process. This is a difficult turn to take in life, to try to change your lifestyle. Those that have watched me for a long time know I lost a tremendous amount of weight. That was after the 20 years of failing at my health. Yes, I'm a physician. I've failed miserably for 20 years, but that was not an overnight success at all. And I think you probably feed that drive, and would love for you to explain how much of a process this is and how people can get started and go through it.
For sure. Anytime we want the body to truly heal, we have to respect the body and honor the body.
Thank
And
you.
typically, any issue we create in our body, we didn't create it overnight. It is something that's been an accumulation. And so much of Ayurveda is saying, let's just peel back those layers. Let's remove the things that are truly insults to the body, the things that are inflaming us. Could be things like what we're eating, processed foods, seed oils, could be microplastics in our lives, could be the toxic burden of so much of what's surrounding us in our lives. There's a lot of insults that create inflammation in the system. So let's have a conversation about just removing those, because once we remove them, they're not going to keep causing that inflammation. And then we start to talk about how to build that lifestyle. And you're right, building a lifestyle takes work, it takes time. But within the Ayurvedic lifestyle, we're teaching you self-care. We're teaching you things that feel good. We're teaching you ways to improve your sleep quality. And sleep is when we clear inflammation. Yes. And so in Ayurveda, we teach that the circadian clock is 10 to 2. And so that pitta or fire time of night is when we're going to clear inflammation the most. And modern science is proving that to be true. Modern science proved the circadian clock to be true. And they also show that at 10 p.m., we have that melatonin release. And in that window is our best time to clear the lymphatic system of the brain. So we have a lymphatic system and a glymphatic system. And so I love that modern science has put so much published science and terminology to what the ancient wisdoms already said. The ancient wisdom said, be in alignment with nature, and nature will heal all things. And if you're in disharmony with nature, if you want to just break all the rules of nature, guess what you get to have? Dis-ease and disharmony. And so it can be pretty simple. And that's what I love is let's look at simple, free, easy, applicable things we can do. And then let's also partner up with great integrative medicine and functional medicine practitioners who can really use precision medicine to help us address what's going on under the hood. I always have a great practitioner on board who I go to and I'm like, please help. I need HRT. I need support. There are still issues going on here. I need a stool test. And I need some evaluation on that thing.
Absolutely.
But outside of that, I always think that, yes, thank you for healing me, practitioner. We still need the lifestyle piece to maintain this result that we're going to get. Really? And that's where I think Ayurveda is so powerful. It brings in an entire lifestyle plan that's bite-sized, that you can build in a rhythm, and then you just maintain that rhythm.
Right. I love the pattern you're developing here of simplicity. It's very overwhelming. We feel like when we walk outside, we're just going to be, bombarded. We have the toxins, the environment, we have the stressors, we have the processed foods and the fast foods. And, it's just a constant bombardment. And I think I read a lot and kind of notice how people respond to a lot of the posts that many doctors or practitioners do about, what to do. It's very overwhelming. So to reduce it, make it more simplistic is great. I love also you highlight that we should trust our bodies. So we are built perfectly. I feel we are initiated that way. And yes, it's either ourselves and our lifestyles and things that we choose, or the choices we make that, or the outside factors that ruin things for us. So forever we have looked at reaching for outside factors to make it better, when really we just need to trust our bodies and bring that in. I feel like that is what your book is about, is just driving that simplicity, but also the trust, with your body, and you just reiterating everything you just said. Sorry, but that is
absolutely. No, thank you for reiterating it that way. You're right. It's very much your body came in right, and your job in this lifetime is just to help support it come back into that healing state. Sure. We want body, mind, and spirit in alignment.
Yes.
And that's the goal of Ayurveda. So everything we teach is to bring that healing state back into place, and then allow the body to stay healed, like you said.
Yes. And so is there too, I know you brought up the mental inflammation. I have had to experience this with a very close family, several actually, family members that have some genetic traits that were, exposed and brought on and super developed by inflammation. And I believe very much that is at the heart of it. Can you, kind of describe that and how we become also hardwired? I think there's a place there where we kind of fall into it and then hardwire ourselves, and then we need to how do I say it? Unhardwire ourselves,
Yes.
but turn that around. But describe that. That's a great topic.
For sure. So what happens is oftentimes we're going through life and we've got stressors. What's interesting is we have a level of toxic burden creating inflammation. We have a dietary lifestyle nowadays in terms of our diet that's not totally nutritious and healthy. So the body's a bit running on empty as we're trying to put nutrition in, but so much of our food are almost anti-nutrients. They're taking away from us more than they are giving to us.
Correct.
Then couple that with poor sleep. Because of blue light, because of technology, most of us have impacted our sleep negatively. So we almost have like a negative stack going against us. Then pair that with stress and chronic stress. So many people are under a chronic state of stress. You open the mail, it stresses you out. You open your Instagram or Facebook, it stresses you out. You open your email, it stresses you out. You get a phone call or a text, it stresses you out. Not to mention the physical world around you might have a lot of stressors. It could be traffic, could be anything, could be you always being late to things. Yeah. And so those stressors and that stress leads to our hormones and our body being dysregulated. If we're having cortisol releases and cortisol flood the body constantly, that's going to cause inflammation. It's going to damage the gut lining and further propagate this issue of being inflamed. Yes. And so what happens is our mental inflammation is causing our physical inflammation. It's a feedback loop, and we stay inside of that loop. Instead of doing vagus nerve toning, instead of dropping into our parasympathetic, dropping into rest and digest, we're just always in this fight or flight state.
Yes.
And we're not even recognizing it sometimes. So for example, I just went through a book launch for 6 months, and my close friends asked me, how are you doing? And I'm like, not so great. This is hard. This is a lot of work. I don't have like a 20-woman team around me who everyone has a great job. It's like 5 of us and we're all full court press. Yeah. And so coming into the new year, I was like, what is your homework? Your homework is actually to apply everything in the book again, reestablish circadian rhythm, measure, track, and improve sleep, walk in nature, make boundaries on your day, bookend your day, self-care in the morning, self-care in the evening, not work till 10 and then boom, close the laptop and hope for great quality sleep. We know that that's not a recipe for winning at inflammation. And so even the practitioner oftentimes has to hit the reset button. And what you're mentioning there is like resetting with the nervous system. Yes. Vagus nerve toning, oftentimes we kind of put ourselves in a gear. Like I know really well how to put myself in 5th gear and just go. That's my favorite gear to be in. Yeah. It's not my favorite gear physically. My body is like, hi, we're in perimenopause. We've got a lot of other fires to deal with. You can't sit at full throttle on a racetrack 24/7. That's going to burn out the tires. That's going to burn out the engine. And so the homework here, and I do use a lot of car analogies in the book, is to practice, like, when do we go to 4th? When do we go to 3rd? Can we use our weekends for true self-care, rejuvenation, and resetting so that we build resilience and tolerance in the system for these stressors, which are the stressors we create, but also what about the stressors life throws at us that we might not even be ready for? Sometimes we have tragedy and major traumas thrown at us. And that's when I meet so many people who manifest full-blown autoimmune condition diseases. And I always say, it's hard after you're already there, but where can we practice building more tolerance in our system? And that's from being in the parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest, and being truly vibrant so we're ready for what life throws at us.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. And I have really come to over the last years, and probably mostly because of experiencing so many stressors, and everybody does. I'm not isolated to that, but you, like I say, when you experience it yourself as a practitioner, you know how to help people better. In fact, I have my little Apollo on here. If you're on YouTube, you can see it. And I have my little Apollo on, and the vagal nerve stimulation. And so, and I can explain all that further, but I'm glad to hear you mention it. Is that something that you use, when you practice and speak? And I mean, you just mentioned it. Obviously you do, but the parasympathetic nervous system is like you say, the rest and digest, but it is something that I feel we're not really hardwired for. We're hardwired for survival. So our sympathetic system, which is the hardcore run for your life, the bear's chasing you all the time, is the one that always comes up first and is the natural reaction, right? And so you want to bring on then that parasympathetic system that says, no, there's no need to panic here. Take care of yourself, rest, the soothing, positive self-talk, the gratitude and all that, right? And so vagal nerve, explain it, how the vagus nerve works, all of that.
It's interesting. Ayurveda said we have a gut digestive fire and we call it Agni. And so we think of it as a campfire within us. And we always look there first when we're talking about disease in people. Like, how's the fire? Is the fire completely put out? Is it overburning and we're inflamed? Is it just healthy and just right? The Goldilocks effect. And so as we talk about health and vagus nerve, oftentimes, like you're saying, we're just in that gear of full sympathetic. And so I love that you're using the Apollo Neuro. I met the founder. It's on my list and my personal wish list of, I think I need a tool that is on my body that helps me stay in parasympathetic, because like you're saying, we're actually wired for survival. And then we're living in a world where honestly, everything around us is coming at the body, and the body's like, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to do with the phthalates and the PFAS and everything around us is so chemical that the body is under a state of stress almost 24/7. I mean, our own mattress could be causing stress.
Right.
And the system could be like, I don't want to sleep on this. Why does this girl sleep on this for a decade? What's happening here? Yes. And so I do think that we are living through a time where it actually is important to pick up a tool for vagus nerve support, whether it's a meditation app in the morning, whether it is walking in nature is a good one. I use that one a lot for myself, whether it is the Apollo Neuro or another tool that you put on your body that is supporting you in staying your healthiest. Because if you're not supported and you're chronically inflamed because you're chronically stressed, the level of disease you're going to manifest, the impact on sleep you're going to have, which will keep you inflamed, will forever be a problem.
Absolutely.
And so I'm a big fan of find the tool that works for you and supports you. Try them out and find the one, but use something, because to not use something and to stay stressed is a debilitating setup for chronic disease.
Completely debilitating. So I developed my own autoimmune disease, rheumatoid arthritis, now for 20 years, based on, I completely believe, on just the stress, and a lot of put on myself and a lot of from other places, but absolutely. And this, I have noticed the Apollo, for those who are not on YouTube, it's something I'm wearing on my wrist, and, it has a set of vibrations that you set at certain times, at certain frequencies, and it really isn't very noticeable. But I have found by using it over the last month that my deep sleep has gone from anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes at night to sometimes almost 2 hours, which may be too much, honestly. Heart rate variability is improving, and but I combine it. It's not the miracle tool. I'd never want anybody to think that the one thing is going to change their life. We're too much into instant gratification, and one tool is going to fix it. But like you say, walking in nature, meditation in the morning, sunlight in the morning. I'm a big believer in that and all. But these are things you have to just, like you say, find what works for you, put it into practice and practice it, and keep doing it. Don't bring up the excuse, I don't have time. You do have time. Make it.
And if we're busy, so I love that example. If we are busy, I go through busy seasons. I build them myself. And then I'm like, I'm burnt out. I'm exhausted. It's like, well, you totally did that to yourself. Yeah. I'm a big believer. If you know you're getting on the racetrack, bring the tools on board with you. Protect yourself. Yes. Protect yourself against inflammation. Protect yourself against these things, because you might be going through a season where you don't have the time. You might have a certain month or a certain quarter or whatever it is, a certain year. Then buy the tools and protect the body at least.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. It's like a hunter. You don't go, naked without a gun and to hunt, right? It's not how it works. You have to bring food. You have to bring the ammunition, things like that. I'm not a big hunter. I don't know why I brought that up, but it's still that's the only example I can think of. But yeah, absolutely. All right, I want us to sit and visit a little bit about turmeric, because big subject. And so I'm going to save this a little bit for the second half so we can spend the time that it deserves. But I really want people to hear for the moment where they can find you, your information, your book. Please share that with us.
Sure. So my website is my name, shivanigupta.com, and my quiz to know your elemental design and everything is there. The book is at theinflammationcode.com, and that's where they can get the book.
Beautiful. All of that will be on the website. So drpbetterlife.com. When we get this up and aired, I can't wait. It will be on the website. So make it easy. Go there and then hunt out some of my other shows, please. And some great guests and all, including Dr. Gupta this morning. So we are going to take a very short break. I need to pay homage now to Magna Pharmaceuticals, who Dr. Lesser and his wife, Mary, have been so good to me and taking good care of me. So we'll step out for just a second. Be right back.
Depression, anxiety, low energy, weakness, these are just some symptoms of low B12 levels. And the absorbable B12 folate supplement that's helping people declare victory over depression symptoms is De Novo Plus B12 by Magna Pharmaceuticals. Patients with symptoms of depression often exhibit low levels of folate and vitamin B12. The human body needs sufficient folate intake to produce the essential neurotransmitters serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These neurotransmitters alleviate feelings of sadness, anxiety, and gloom. What makes De Novo Plus B12 so successful? De Novo Plus B12 contains readily absorbable folate and B12. That means it's more successful at correcting the root cause of your deficiency, not just the symptoms. Whether you are suffering with low energy, depression, fatigue, or anxiety, you owe it to yourself to learn more at magnaweb.com. That's magnaweb.com. Please let us know at checkout that you heard about De Novo Plus B12 on The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston.
Welcome back. I'm Dr. Marianne Pinkston here this morning with Dr. Shivani Gupta, who is talking about so many wonderful things, Ayurvedic medicine and, holistic self-care, things that I hammer in so many podcasts just because I really want people to know and understand. And she's got a great path for this. It's very, very wonderfully written, beautifully written book, The Inflammation Code. And so please pick that up. And it's a good read. It's an easy read. It's not overwhelming, terminology and science and things. It's very, very easy for people to understand and get through. Thank you for making it so. So turmeric, the buzzword, it seems of lately. Why? It's been around for gazillions of years. So now, why is it just something Americans are finding at this point?
It's interesting, the science and the history of turmeric. Turmeric was a spice from India. It was a big part of the spice trade. When it was used in Europe, they were like, wow, this can dye our clothes yellow. It can dye our food. And then much later, they realized, you know what, there's less neurocognitive disease in India. What could that be? And when they went and studied it, they were like, I think it's their curry, their mix of their spices. And that's when there became this huge fascination with turmeric. And so there was turmeric studied. Then they extracted curcumin from turmeric, and they were like, this is the extract of the century. This is so anti-inflammatory. Wow. And so by the time I studied turmeric, nowadays there's actually 17,000 studies in PubMed. There's double-blind placebo-controlled trials using curcumin. I was in the lab in high school when I was 16, where the scientists discovered that black pepper increases the absorption of curcumin by 2,000%. I got to work in that lab in Houston, and I was like, this is fascinating. It didn't occur to me that 20 plus years later, I would build something out of turmeric. But turmeric is this powerful plant, and it's a sister plant to ginger. So if you know ginger, turmeric's very similar, just a little more orange and a lot of benefit. And out of that entire turmeric plant, only 3 to 5% of it is the curcuminoids. Mm-hmm. And those curcuminoids, that extract of it, we know is the most anti-inflammatory part. And so when people find me, they're like, well, I juice my turmeric. I just buy raw turmeric. I cut it up and put it in everything. And I say, look, ancient India did use raw turmeric, but they pickled it. They used it as a garnish. It wasn't the primary way that turmeric was used. Correct. When we took turmeric and we dried it into the kitchen culinary spice, that is how it's the most used. It's used in all of our dishes. It's used in our cooking. People even make turmeric lattes at night using whole milk as a solution to get turmeric in and support the body as an anti-inflammatory. But kitchen culinary spice, again, is not going to do what we want to when we talk about the level of inflammation that we are now dealing with. And so that's why there's this exploding science around curcumin, because it's such a powerful antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. And what's interesting to me is in the science, we see how curcumin impacts over 30 different pathways of inflammation.
Wow.
And I have whole charts on this that I present on at like A4M and all the conferences. But
Wow.
what's cool is curcumin impacts NF-kappa B and TNF-alpha, some of those master switches of inflammation.
Absolutely.
And so when we have this pain in the body, joint pain or different struggles, curcumin can go in there and turn off a lot of those switches. So over the last decade, as I worked with curcumin, I basically finished my PhD on turmeric. Everyone asked me, oh, if turmeric can solve 99 of my problems out of 100, where do I go buy a good one?
Thank you.
And I went and researched and I was like, I cannot figure out who's to recommend because we're in the supplement world. Supplement world's pretty unregulated. And around that time, the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal published an article that said up to 75% of the supplements on the big box retailer shelves do not have the active ingredients as stated, or they're full of rice and grass and cellulose wood pulp, and they don't have what you're buying. And that to me was so shocking. I was like, when I buy vitamin D, I need it to work. When I buy vitamin C, I need it to work. How can you say that to me? Absolutely. And so I ended up taking that moment and going and creating my own. But to me, turmeric has such far-reaching benefits. It's not just anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. Yeah. It's antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, which means it's anti-H. pylori, anti-candida. A lot of these things we struggle with can be supported by curcumin. I won't say solved, but they can definitely be supported. Then when we talk about anti-age properties, it impacts sirtuins, telomeres, repairs DNA. I think of curcumin as this ultimate janitor. It comes in the body, it kicks out zombie cells, senescent cells, malignant cells that don't belong in the system, bad bacteria that doesn't belong. It just kicks it all out, but honors and leaves in all the good. Yes. And so when it comes to our brain health, it's a big deal because it impacts tau tangles, gets rid of amyloid plaques, helps produce neurogenesis, new brain cells, mitogenesis, new mitochondria. So curcumin's very unique in that it's very multifaceted. Can it do everything? No. It is one plant, but it happens to have a lot of significant benefits on major pathways and thus minor pathways. Wow. And so what I've seen over the last decade is people are like, wow, it really helped with my like knee pain or my back pain. But then I started to not have allergies or sneezing. And then it was my gingivitis. And then now I don't wake up with aches or pains or stiffness. I feel younger. So it's fascinating to me to watch kind of that progression of it addresses the big issues, then the medium issues, and then the small issues.
Absolutely. That's so great. I'm just going to take that little soundbite right there and just run it constantly for people. That was so well described. Thank you. You know, I'm interested to look a little further into the different, okay, let me back up because people hear turmeric and then they hear curcumin and then they hear, you know, I need to have black pepper, then I don't. And then, you know, they'll buy anything there. You said there are 17,000 studies of benefit. There are 17,000 different supplements out there that you can buy or whatnot. Expand on that because this is so important. People need it. And if you've created one, I'm by it. That's great. It's, you know so much and that's wonderful. So please tell us how we can get yours too.
For sure. So if you go on Amazon, there are 17,000 listings for turmeric supplements. Absolutely. And it's fascinating because when you go on the market, there are supplements that exist that are turmeric powder, just the kitchen culinary powder you can buy for $5, put into a pill, nothing else. Right. And I think that's just sad. Like in our market, how can it be that we're wasting people's time, money, energy, effort by putting that into a pill? At that point, yes, just sprinkle turmeric on your chicken every day or whatever you're eating and call it a day. Now, we have a lot of science that shows that when you want to absorb turmeric or its extract curcumin, you need to add black pepper or a healthy fat. And there's team healthy fat, team black pepper out there. The science is still growing and emerging. There is no apples to apple study comparing the two, which I always found fascinating. I want to fund that study. So what we know is black pepper will increase the absorption 2,000%. So I like that one. That was very reliable for me. And for me, when I built my formulas, I built them for orthopedics. And so I really wanted to use science that I could rely on.
Absolutely.
Now, we have a lot of science on liposomal curcumin and healthy fats with curcumin, just like we have a lot of science right now on fish oil. And so for me, is a liposomal curcumin beneficial? Yes, because we know healthy fat with curcumin is more effective than curcumin alone. But I didn't feel comfortable when it comes to rancidity and a lot of these issues building uphill. And then what if you keep it on your shelf for more than 2 years, or you're consuming it and you didn't keep it cold enough? And then here I'm inflaming you while I'm trying to help you win at inflammation.
Well said, yes.
And so to play it safe, I use black pepper. I think it's much more shelf stable and it's a good delivery mechanism. And then I tell people, if you want it to cross the blood-brain barrier and absorb even better, take it with a meal or take it with some healthy fat whenever you do in your day, breakfast, lunch, dinner. And so that's a way to get the benefits on both sides. But we know it'll absorb on its own because the black pepper is there. It's going to go in the system and it's going to have that positive effect.
Absolutely.
Now, when I finished my PhD, I was literally obsessed with turmeric. Everyone who came to me, someone would say, my knee hurts. I'm like, you can take turmeric for that. My throat's scratchy. You can take turmeric for that. I was just that girl because it was my go-to, nail and hammer. I was like, turmeric can do that. And then when people said, where can I buy one? I went to the grocery store and I looked around and I couldn't make out, based on everybody's labels, what was the best. And so I ended up partnering with a factory here in the United States, and we found a form of curcumin that is so potent. My dream was every time you go to orthopedics and you say, oh, my knee hurts, because I've done that. I have gone to orthopedics and said, my knee hurts, or I have plantar fasciitis. And they're like, you can take NSAIDs 24/7 for 10 days and you'll be fine. And that is what I was told. And I did it back in the day before I learned all this. And then I got stomach aches. And I said, you guys, you solved one problem, but you wrecked my gut. Don't you understand? I teach Ayurveda. If there's one thing I value, it's my gut. How could you do that? And they're like, oh, it's just a side effect. It's not a big deal. And I thought, that is not serving me, and y'all need a better toolkit.
Correct.
And so that's what I sought out to do, was just to give them a toolkit that they trusted, that's potent enough that they'll rely on it. And so when I formulated Fusionary Formula as my company, that turmeric gold is 500 milligrams of curcumin at a 97 to 98% grade potency. So my ingredient goes way above the standard, and it mimics the proportion of curcuminoids in nature. So the body knows how to receive it and use it. And so it's a very expensive ingredient. When I built my company, everyone was like, you will never win at this. You are crazy. And I was like, no, I believe that if we put the best thing in the doctor's hands, they'll use it, the patient will benefit, and we will find a way. And so they were right. My company has been totally backwards for many years, but we finally got it straight because it's best ingredient, third-party tested, made in the United States, small batch production, made every year. And so what I see is people who go to the doctor every single month, and the doctors tell me, you got my patient off this thing, off of that thing. You've cut my opioid use in half out of my practice in my post-op patients. And so to me, that's like the whole gift, is just constantly iterating on how do we support the patient? How do we support all of us at winning at inflammation? And then I get to go teach you the lifestyle. Because I realized early on in the first 5 years, everyone was just taking the pill and they were getting their problem solved. And then they thought they didn't have to make any other changes. And so about 5 years ago, I started saying, guys, let's talk about sleep. Guys, let's talk about diet. And so that's why I teach both sides now, because you shouldn't take a supplement forever. You should actually take it, get your help, but let's build lifestyle up to a point where you can let go of those solutions.
Thank you. Well said there. Lovely. So this is absolute truth. And I appreciate you bringing that up. And so where can people find your formulation? So I'm assuming you have more. It sounds like you have a few things.
I do. So turmeric gold is my number one main formula because we think of turmeric supplements and we just want to take that one thing. I have a second formula I built called inflammation relief. And it has the curcumin, but it has boswellia, dried ginger, amla, black pepper, of course, and turmeric powder for the synergistic effect. And so that's a more ancient formulation that I built to address inflammation in the body. And so that one's popular as well. And it was my orthopedic doctors who put the two together. And we call that pain solution bundle, the two together. Okay. And then after that, I built sleep solutions.
Bless your heart. I know a good turmeric for you.
I probably do need more turmeric.
I'm just kidding.
I'm just getting over the flu. So that happens once or twice a day. And I'm always like, why? Why am I so serious?
I know.
The flu is bad this year.
It really is bad. It's insanely bad. So this would be a good immune system, boost for, your book is just in general, it's a whole work in prevention for things like that.
Yes. Sure. Yeah. Do you want me to answer that question again and start from there?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Yes. So I built Turmeric Gold as that number one turmeric solution when we want a turmeric that actually does the job. But then I also built a formula called Inflammation Relief that uses boswellia, dried ginger, amla, all these other synergistic herbs from ancient Ayurveda that help with reducing inflammation, because it's really a multi-pronged approach. In Ayurveda, we think of it as primary herb does the main job. Secondary herb supports the first herb in doing that job. Yes. Other herbs help it go where it needs to go in the body and do the job that it needs to do. Then final herbs mitigate the effect of even putting strong herbs in the body. So it's a very sympathetic, works with the body system built into a formula. Yeah. And so the combination we call the pain solution bundle. And it was my orthopedic surgeons who put the two together. And they're like, this is your solution. This works the best for our patients. So that's what I do. I would say 90% of the time is I'm talking about turmeric. But then I also wanted to help people with sleep, because if we're not going to sleep well, we're not going to clear the inflammation and we're going to struggle. So I built a deep sleep tea that's very Ayurvedic with adaptogens and herbs. So we have a sleep hygiene ritual, sleep gummies, and then I've built other teas and herbs and solutions just to give us teas to help build our circadian rhythm throughout our day. So my dream is just to keep iterating on that and help us in women's health, menopause tea, a tea for cortisol and stress, just keep reaching into that plant kingdom to support us. So that's what I do at my supplement company. And then my dream is to keep teaching that we also can bring lifestyle in and just use both in harmony.
Yes, absolutely. Just a complete package. It's beautiful. Thank you. So wonderful. Now, where can people, and we discussed beforehand, I don't know if you have it ready or not, we discussed an affiliate, but what I want mostly is for people to identify that they found you through Better Life. And so, more than that, I'm I don't have to make money. I'm okay with that. No problem. I just want people to know, for you guys to know where people found you. So where can they find your supplements and code and all of that?
For sure. So my supplement company is called Fusionary Formulas because it's a fusion of East and West. So FUSIONARY formulas.com. And then I made the code Better Life so that they can all try it out and get 15% off on their order.
Thank you for that. There you go. And so, I'm just writing that down. So I make sure I get get all of it correctly for you. And that will all be on the website, everybody, drpbetterlife.com, so that you can check out all of her information. You can find her book, her website, and more on her supplements and codes and things like that. I love the teas. I have been into teas lately. I've got a very good friend of mine who is too. She's going to love this. So, and my rheumatologist is very open to, turmeric and boswellia and all together, and just wonderful science. I love it. Thank you. This is wonderful. And you have been an absolutely beautiful and wonderful guest. I appreciate it so much. Is there anything else that you can think of? Did we leave anything out? Is there any words you would like to leave with us?
We talked about everything. I just encourage everyone to remember you are sovereign in your health, and you have every choice on the table when it comes to finding an amazing practitioner and partner on your health journey. And so it's really about finding who is integrative, who's going to help guide you, who's going to help support you. And I love, Dr. Pinkston, that you do that. We need partnership with our practitioners in a way that helps us hold a hand, get across the finish line, get to that place of vibrant health that we all deserve.
Absolutely.
And then be shown and taught this lifestyle that we can build and uphold so that we can continue to win at our health.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. And we have left out this whole time that you have a podcast. And so people can get more and more and more of this, which is wonderful. And I'm going to include that on everything website and the YouTube network and all. So wonderful. You are such a blessing. Thank you for all that you do. And putting out in the world. And everybody, I appreciate you tuning in. We'll have more next week. Just take care of each other out there. Thank you.
You've been enjoying The Better Life with Dr. Marianne Pinkston. For more information, go to drpthebetterlife.com. That's drpthebetterlife.com. And listen next week for The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston.